Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want.
And there was Bovee smack in the middle of it, running the show.
Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. He is a member of the Judiciary Committee.
Senator Whitehouse, you know, I used to be a spokesperson for many years, and what the president just did is spin. And he is actively working out new spins to this story. I'm wondering your reactions to his latest spin here, and can you bring us in a little bit on the strategy that it seems like Democrats, particularly in the Senate, are taking on this Epstein files issue?
Well, I think if you look at Trump's history, one of the things that you notice is that the word hoax for Donald Trump is like a poker tell. It's his way of basically admitting that something is true. So Trump Russia, he calls it a hoax. Climate change, he calls it a hoax. Now Jeffrey Epstein, he calls it a hoax. He's obviously scrambling to try to find a way out of the mess that he is in. I don't know what the Department of Justice has. I don't know what the files say, but clearly it's enough to put him into a state of really wild dodgem, trying to get out from under what his own administration has been conceding for months was a big reveal. And when there was no big reveal, I think people were justifiably concerned. Even if there's nothing about Epstein in there, which seems hard to imagine, it's a hell of a 180 to go from, I've got the Epstein list on my desk, we're about to do the big reveal, to sorry, folks, nothing to see here.
I can't help but think, Senator, about how all of this dovetails with Emil Bovie's confirmation hearing. You now have Senator Booking seeking Epstein information from Bovie. You had a whistleblower come forward and say, in essence, this is a person who has said F the courts. Your greatest concern, if Emil Bovie is confirmed for what is a lifetime appointment to the court?
Well, Bovie has really distinguished himself as one of Trump's goons. And I think that what Senator Booker is concerned about is that in those months where he was the acting attorney general, he had to have some knowledge of what was going on with the Epstein files. This was kind of a big deal for Trump and for his supporters. They had made the big promise about the big reveal, and there was Bovie smack in the middle of it running the show, and he's never disclosed what he knows about it. So I think that's what Corey is pursuing. The guy's just a bad guy. I mean, how long was he in the Department of Justice? It's been 6 months since the inauguration. He's already been in the middle of 3 huge scandals. One, dangling a criminal prosecution over the head of the mayor of New York to get him dance to Trump's immigration tune. The second, faking a criminal investigation to try to create a pretext to seize funding they didn't like because it was climate related. And the third, the telling courts to F off scandal, where we actually now have corroboration that, yup, he actually did say that. Those are just 3 things we know about in only 6 months. Right. So you can only imagine what a guy like that is going to get up to with a lifetime appointment and no restraint on him.
Senator, I really appreciate your point there, because it is an incredibly onerous slope that we're seeing Republicans put the country on in terms of the judiciary with this appointment. But I also can't help, and I would love
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who used to be Trump's personal attorney, well, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell. You know who she is, the former associate of Jeffrey Epstein. Today, Blanche posted the following, quote, I met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and I will continue my interview of her tomorrow. The Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time, end quote. The very unusual meeting is the administration's latest attempt to deal with the massive backlash it is facing over the Epstein investigation. My colleague Garrett Haake has all the details. Watch this.
Tonight, Attorney General Pam Bondi's top deputy meeting at a Florida courthouse with Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted accomplice of notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche meeting privately with Maxwell and her attorneys. Earlier this week, Blanche posted if Maxwell, quote, has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. This tonight from Maxwell's attorney.
She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
The Trump administration seeking to cool the ongoing firestorm over its handling of the DOJ's files on Epstein. Today's meeting blasted by Democrats.
There is every reason to fear that Donald Trump could offer Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon in exchange for silence or even worse, phony exoneration.
It comes 24 hours after the Wall Street Journal report, citing senior administration officials, that the president was briefed in May by Bondi that his name appears in the unreleased files. The Journal reporting the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past, and that being mentioned in the records is not a sign of wrongdoing. The White House calling the story fake news. NBC News has reviewed over 1,000 pages of documents tied to Epstein or related investigations and conducted interviews with dozens of victims and attorneys, and none has suggested Trump committed a crime.
And tonight, the Wall Street Journal has new reporting about that book of birthday cards Epstein received back in 2003. Last week, if you remember, they reported on Trump's card in that book, which Trump then said was fake. Well, tonight, the Journal reports that the book also includes a personal birthday message from former President Bill Clinton, and that both Clinton and Trump were listed in the Friends section of the book's table of contents. That is according to documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. NBC News has not independently reviewed any of those documents. A spokesperson for President Clinton declined to comment and referred to a previous statement that Clinton had cut off ties more than a decade before Epstein's 2019 arrest and didn't know about his alleged crimes. And tonight, the New York Times has new reporting on Trump's role in that birthday book. The Times reports Trump's name appears on a list of contributors to the book. The report also says Trump inscribed a copy of his 1997 book, Trump, The Art of the Comeback, to Epstein with the message, "To Jeff, you are the greatest." That is according to documents reviewed by the New York Times. NBC News has not reviewed or verified any of this material. The White House said in a statement that Trump had kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for, quote, being a creep, and that this is nothing more than a continuation of the fake news stories concocted by the Democrats and the liberal media, end quote. With that, let's get smarter with the help of our leadoff panel. Peter Baker is here, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times. Amna Nawaz, co-anchor of PBS NewsHour and MSNBC contributor. Sam Stein, managing editor for The Bulwark and an MSNBC contributor. And former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, who spent 25
And there was Bovee smack in the middle of it running the show, and he's never disclosed.
You can choose to raid the caravan, or you can choose to guard it. This is a game where slaying monsters are not the only way to grow stronger. Heck, it's not even the main.
The diapers is not a joke. It depends. You know, Diaper Don is trending, but it's based in. The diapers is not a joke. It depends. You know, Diaper Don is trending, but it's based in reality. He would often soil himself on The Apprentice set. He's incontinent from all the speed, all the Adderall he does, the cocaine that he's done for decades. You know, all that stuff has a laxative, and it has an effect on your bowels, and his are uncontrollable. He's worn diapers since probably the 90s, but I saw it firsthand in the 2000s on Celebrity Apprentice in late 2000s, and we'd have to stop the show and change him, you know, and that was Keith Schiller's job. He would take him off set, he would wipe him down. Our nickname for Keith was Wet Wipes. It's not a joke. It's happened several times. And you've seen it happen while he's in office. You've seen he was in the Oval Office with Erdogan, and you could clearly hear him sort of evacuating himself. He did it in front of Senator Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein, at a a press conference. So he does it, and he almost sits there like and unaware of it, you know. And one time I saw Ivanka have to go kind of whisper in his ear, and then Keith came and took him off stage. Diapers is not a joke. It depends. You know, Diaper Don is trending, but it's based in reality. He would often soil himself on The Apprentice set. He's incontinent from all the speed, all the Adderall he does, the cocaine that he's done for decades. You know, all that stuff has a laxative, and it has an effect on your bowels, and his are uncontrollable. He's worn diapers since probably the 90s, but I saw it firsthand in the 2000s on Celebrity Apprentice in late 2000s, and we'd have to stop the show and change him, you know, and that was Keith Schiller's job. He would take him off set, he would wipe him down. Our nickname for Keith was Wet Wipes. It's not a joke. It's happened several times. And you've seen it happen while he's in office. You've seen he was in the Oval Office with Erdogan, and you could clearly hear him sort of evacuating himself. He did it in front of Senator Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein, at a press conference. So he does it, and he almost sits there like and unaware of it, you know. And one time I saw Ivanka have to go kind of whisper in his ear, and then Keith came and took him off stage. He'll also do it in a rage, and this is where it gets really drug related. He'll start to freak out. You know, one time there was the word arbitrage on a cue card, and he started screaming that the script department was setting him up. You're setting me up, and he just freaked out, and then very loudly evacuated his bowels, and you could smell it, you know, and the guy who was holding the boom mic, you know, was tearing up. So that's where the nickname, the SHIT show, came from. That was the crew nickname for Celebrity Apprentice. So when you hear Diaper Don, it's not a joke. He tries to hide it. I'll give you one more fact. If you look up the video of him when he was doing the WWF thing, he tackles a guy on the ground outside of the ring, and you can clearly see the outline of the Depends in his pants. And that was back in the early 90s. So he's lost control of his bowels. He's lost control of his brain. That's who he is, Diaper Don.
Great ideas can come from anywhere. With Wix, you...
Bruh. Oh my goodness. So we're all aware of the Epstein files, right? Thanks to Trump. Thanks to Trump and the right. They blasted the Epstein files, and now they want to be quiet about it and hush hush. Well, no, we don't want to talk about it. But there's this video that has been circulating online. I caught it on Twitter. And I don't know. I don't know if it was just recent released or if it's been re-released. Because sometimes things like that happen, especially online, when people regurgitate or reappropriate content like from years ago and then put it out, and everyone's like, oh, this must be new. But there's a video of Epstein, right? And they're asking him questions. He's been deposed. The question was like, do you have a relationship with Donald Trump? And he's like, what do you mean by relationship? He's like, are you social with him? He's like, yeah, I'm social with him.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
And then the next one is, have you ever been in the presence of someone under the age of 18 while, with Donald Trump?
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Huh? And he thinks about it, and he's like, I refuse to talk about this due to my Fifth Amendment, right? He pleads the Fifth.
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
What? Now listen. I'm going to say this. I know plead the fifth doesn't mean you're guilty, but what pleading the fifth does mean is that you don't want to incriminate yourself. Now, if someone were to ask me, hey, Lucas, have you ever been friends with somebody while in the company of minors or anything like that? The answer is no, absolutely not. I don't mess with minors. I don't like minors. I don't even know how to spell minor. I can't even show you minor on the keyboard, okay? No, absolutely. I don't mess with any of that. That's gonna be my answer, done and done. The fact that you have to plead the fifth, either A, he messing with minors, been friends with somebody while in the company of minors or anything like that? The answer is no, absolutely not. I don't mess with minors. I don't like minors. I don't even know how to spell minor. I can't even show you minor on the keyboard, okay? No, absolutely. I don't mess with any of that. That's gonna be my answer, done and done. The fact that you have to plead the fifth, either A, he messing with minors, or B, he messing with minors and Trump messing with minors, right? They both messing with minors. Those are only two options, okay? Because there's no way to incriminate yourself if you haven't been doing anything funny with minors. I just know what to tell you. Damn. If you want to
right here, this is the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. Because we're getting along with China very well. We have a very good relationship. In fact, the magnets, which is a little complex piece of material, but the magnets are coming out, very well. They're sending them in record numbers. We're getting along with China very well. And I don't mind if the president dealt with China, if that's meant, because I think he has to do what's right for his country. I've always said, make the Philippines great again. Do whatever you need to do, but you're dealing with China wouldn't bother me at all.
No, well, now it is something that we have to do in any case,
Yeah.
and certainly that.
Mr. President, do you support the Justice Department seeking an interview with Ghislaine Maxwell? Did you urge the Attorney General to seek one?
I don't know anything about it. They're going to what? Meet her?
Your Deputy Attorney General has reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney asking for a new interview.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do, yeah.
Do you have any concern that your Deputy Attorney General, as your former attorney, would be conducting the interview, given?
No, I have no concern. He's a very talented person. He's very smart. I didn't know that they were going to do it. I don't really follow that too much. It's sort of a witch hunt, just a continuation of the witch hunt. The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. When we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking about. I know nothing about the other, but I think it's appropriate that they do go.
May I ask you about that, Mr. President?
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him. and Comey was there, and Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room right here. This was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they, look, he's guilty. It's not a question, you know, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there, he's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform made for anyone with an idea.
Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction. And they used that. Now, the one thing they weren't able to do was to, and probably the only thing I respect about the press in years is the press refused to write it before the election. They refused to put it in. The Steele report was a disaster. All lies, all fabrication, all admitted, an admitted fraud. She paid $12 million, and the Democrats, for that report to a wise guy named Christopher Steele. He wrote a phony report, and they wanted to get that report in before the election. And I'll tell you what, I talk about all the time, the fake news, how bad it is. But in this case, they wouldn't do it. They saw it, they read it, and they said, we don't believe it. And it was only after, substantially, like a month and a half after the election, that it got printed, and it was a big wisp. It was just like a bang of nothing, because the election had ended. If that report had gotten published by the New York Times or somebody, and I respect the Times for maybe only this, because they're crooked as you can be. They're a terrible paper, a crooked, corrupt paper. But for this one moment, they said, this is bullshit, we can't put this in. And neither could any other paper. Wall Street Journal's a lousy paper, very, very dishonest paper. As you see, I'm suing them for a lot of money because they I can't relate that. I can't relate that.
Donald Trump has always been proud of his daughter.
This is an insurmountable pile of evidence against Donald Trump that forces me to believe that this guy did it. Happy birthday, Jeffrey Epstein, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Does that sound like a birthday message that you may have written in a card to one of your friends in years past? I think not. It is, however, what Donald Trump allegedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein in a birthday message in 2003 that the Wall Street Journal, the conservative Fox News aligned Wall Street Journal, the conservative Rupert Murdoch owned Wall Street Journal is now reporting. Get a load of this headline. Jeffrey Epstein's friends sent him body letters for a 50th birthday album. One was from Donald Trump. The leather-bound book was compiled by Ghislaine Maxwell. The president says the letter is a fake thing.
This game, you're not ready for it.
Everything's fake. Everything's fake except for all of the many receipts that I'm getting ready to show you, separate and apart from this new, Wall Street Journal article. So the paper is reporting based on evidence they've seen. It's not just them taking a shot in the dark or some unnamed source. That back in 2003, Ghislaine Maxwell, we'll just call her Ghislaine because Ghislaine seems weird. Maxwell, the associate, the convicted associate of Jeffrey Epstein, gathered letters from a bunch of friends of his to include in a leather-bound birthday gift for his 50th birthday. And in it, one of these letters was Donald Trump. This is where the article doesn't start, but I'll put a link to it below. They're pretty stringent with their paywall. So if there's a link, if there's a way to do a gift link, I'll do that. It'll only be for a few people, but if you get there early enough, you can get to it. Pages from the leather-bound album, assembled before Epstein was first arrested in 2006, are among the documents examined by the Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago, according to people who have reviewed the pages. It's unclear if any of the pages are part of the Trump administration's recent review. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, so they've seen the letter. It's not a hoax. It's not a fraud, Donald Trump. They've seen it. The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy like the others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker, like Donald Trump signing his goofy signature. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. The letter concludes, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Again, I've never written to anyone about may every day be another wonderful secret to anybody, but certainly, and I don't have any friends that are notorious pedophiles like Donald Trump has. This smacks of guilt, does it not? In an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, Trump declined writing the letter or drawing the picture. "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story," he said. "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women," he said. "It's not my language. It's not my words." He told the Journal he was preparing to file a lawsuit if it published an article. "I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal just like I sued everyone else," he said. So I don't draw, he says. He didn't just tell them that. He took to Truth Social and said the same thing in this post at 9:57 p.m. Eastern Time last night. The Wall Street Journal printed a fake letter, supposedly to Epstein. "These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures." Remember that, because again, We got receipts. I don't draw pictures. I told Rupert Murdoch it was a scam with a capital S, so you know it's a real big scam. That he shouldn't print this fake story with 2 capital letters. Woo-wee! Trump's serious. But he did, and now I'm going to sue his ass off. And that of his third-rate newspaper. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I'm sure you're very thankful for my attention to this matter, Donald Trump. Because, you know, it doesn't take a bunch of research to go searching for Donald Trump doodles and Donald Trump drawings to find this headline from the Washington Post in 2019. So 6 years ago, April 23rd, 2019. A sketch Donald Trump made of the Manhattan skyline is up for auction. And you can see it here in the headline. Here's the image. The little image placard says, it's Donald Trump, you're fired, Doodle for Hunger, Capuchin Food Pantry. So you don't draw Donald Trump? You don't? And look, some of you, there might be some trolls in the audience that would say, well, that's the Washington Post. That's obviously fake news. There's no way Donald Trump has indicated that he draws or doodles other places, right? There's no way. Unless you go to this particular page in his 2010 book, Never Give Up. Actually, it's not 2010. Just looked it up. It's actually 2008. So even closer in proximity of time to the sketches drawn in the Epstein thing. But here's what he wrote in the 2008 book, Never Give Up. Sometimes being a giver will open you up to new talents. Each year, I donate an autographed doodle to the Doodle for Hunger auction at the Tavern on the Green. It takes me a few minutes to draw something. In my case, it's usually a building or a cityscape of skyscrapers. And then I sign my name. Yeah, you're dead to rights, Donald. We know. And the fortunate thing here is that MAGA world is finally maybe starting to pay attention to your character, who you are. Because up to this point, they've ignored all of the red flags, all of the glaring sirens blaring into the evening of your predilections. How many times have we heard Donald Trump talk about wanting to fuck his daughter Ivanka? And I'm being crass because it's crass. When Donald Trump says, oh, perhaps I'd be dating her if Ivanka wasn't my daughter, he doesn't mean dating. We know what he means by that. We're all adults. We can speak like adults. He means having sex with. He doesn't mean going out to the soda fountain and having a banana split. He doesn't mean an ice cream date. We know what he means when he says it. Here is a compilation from CNN a few years ago about just how disgusting he has been about his own daughter, whom he lusts over.
Yet at times, his fatherly praise is downright cringeworthy, like on The View in 2006.
I said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it. Oh, it's so weird. Stop you know what? You are sick.
Far from protecting his daughter from being talked about as a sex object, he has encouraged it multiple times. On Howard Stern's radio show in 2004 and then again in 2006.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass. Yeah. She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous. She's tall. She's almost 6 feet tall.
In May, Ivanka described herself as a feminist while defending her father on CBS after a scathing New York Times article about his alleged negative treatment of women.
Is there unending commentary on the female form?
No. I've known my father, obviously, my whole life, and he has total respect for women.
Please welcome the lovely Ivanka Trump.
Still, even Ivanka seemed confused when talk show host Wendy Williams asked about things the two have in common.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Donald Trump has always been proud of his daughter.
I'd call collect to his office. I was probably, 10 years old. He would pick up the phone every single time, and he'd put me on speakerphone. It wouldn't be a long conversation. He'd introduce me to whoever was in his office.
And he was front row when Ivanka took to the catwalk during her short-lived career as a fashion model. Still, Donald Trump repeatedly points out how hot his daughter is, saying last year in a Rolling Stone article, "Yeah, she's really something, and what a beauty, that one. If I weren't happily married and, her father."
My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body. Yeah, she's hot.
And it's not just Ivanka, as disgusting as all of that was. First of all, imagine if you have a child. I have a daughter. Imagine if you have a kid and you talk about them like that to a shock jock, to the ladies on The View, to Wendy Williams.
I looked a lot different. I started my
When he pulled me over, he walked up, opened my door because my window don't work, right? Okay. And then I said, so what I did wrong? Yeah. He said, well, for one, your headlights are off under this weather. I'm like, okay. There's multiple people headlights off, first of all. And then there's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor?
Huh?
Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Here.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now.
All right.
Get on the ground.
Don't.
Get on the ground.
Quick, stop fighting.
Put your hands behind your back.
Put your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. What's wrong with you?
I was putting my hands behind my back.
Ain't no talking now, man. Ain't no talking.